You're entering the Blitz with your host, Matt Maldonado, on Madness4life News. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Matt Maldonado, here in FEMA Region 9, Las Vegas, Nevada, and this is the Blitz, Madness4life News. It is September 3rd, 2012. I'm going to be getting into a lot of articles from naturalnews.com. First article, EPA changes rules to allow more toxic cleaning chemicals in mainstream food. Just in case you've forgotten, EPA stands for Environmental Protection Agency. That was that was sarcasm. You haven't forgotten, but it appears the EPA has reading alphabet soup can be confusing. The FDA, the USDA, and the EPA are all seems to cross over each other when it comes to what happens with food. Recently, the EPA made a ruling on the use of a chemical that's used for a variety of products, including sensitizing cleaners for faculties of food industry providers and restaurants. The chemical will show up in processed foods. A government safety agency safeguard industry profits, not healthy and safety. An August 22, 2012 Courthouse News edition contained a short article entitled "More Amina Now Allowed in Processed Food." It was a reference to the EPA's latest version for limits using density in the carbonated or biocarbonated form DDACB force on amuna. The former limit of 240 ppm parts per million were raised to 440 parts per million. A petition to raise the allowed limit was issued to the EPA by a principal provider of the chemical, Lanza. There we go, Lanza, according to the Courthouse News press release. The reason for limiting DDACB is residual amounts of highly toxic amuna used in food faculties are carried by the foods and consumed. According to the EPA's own document on the ruling, those industries affect viably by the increased DDACB toxicity allowance are dairy, food manufacturing, beverage manufacturing, and pesticide producers. EPA source below notice that one company submitted a petition and the EPA granted an approval. But hold on, when has an alphabet soup agency really responds to a massive petition on raw food or GMOs? Never would be a close enough answer. These agencies will respond to industry demands regardless of their health or safety risks. Adding more toxicity and GMOs into the food chain are not given a second thought by the government's protective agencies. The revolving door between government and industry spins quickly with highly paid industry lobbyists, the only ones getting access to easy corrupted politicians. On rare occasions, huge petitions, emails, call-ins, or email-in or mail-in campaigns will thwart threatening legislations. But those hard-won victorious battles serve as retreats for key legislators to come back with slightly different words or sneak industry-sponsored rulings into newly proposed or existing legislation later. Meanwhile, petitions to federal administration agencies for labeling GMOs are ignored, and a petition to allow raw milk federally was responded with boiler plat official nonsense. The list of dangerous food, drugs, pesticides, chemical additives, additives, and GMOs that are rubber stamped for approval by the FDA, EPA, and the USDA without any precautionary wait periods is staggering. Ammonia was also a toxic featured of pink slime used by the meat packing industry as a hamburger helper. The ammonia compound was used to sensitize meat scraps from the floors of meat packing sites, then ground up with the rest of the beef and sold as hamburger meat. Whistleblowers revealed this and somehow got the attention of the mainstream media enough to cause a massive public awareness of pink slime in ground beef. The result was the major food distributor Cargill suffered a tremendous drop in its sales of ground beef and apparently began phasing out pink slime. The last bastion for us Pedicin to feed can't even read to fend off the money interests slow kill with food and medicine may be mass boycotts, but enough have to know what should be boycotted and realize they don't need it. Moving on here. Another naturalnews.com article, corrupt USDA conspired to funnel hundreds of millions in taxpayer money to beef industry lobbyists. It may be hard to associate corruption with a U.S. government agency, insert dripping sarcasm here, but it's true. Sometimes those stewards of our tax dollars don't spend them very wisely. At least that's what cattleman and rancher advocate Michael Calcrate is alleging in a federal suit he has filed against the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which he says illegally funneled hundreds of millions of dollars to beef industry lobbyists. Caltrate also named USDA Secretary Tom Fiskett, as well as the Sentinel, Colorado-based Cattlemen's Beef Promotion and Release Board and Beef Promotion Operating Committee, and the USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service, reported Courthouse News Service. Caltrate is the owner of Ranch Foods Direct, a Colorado Springs based meat packing factory, and local farmers retail market, delivering healthful, high quality, natural, tender meats and foods to customers direct from the ranch, according to the company's website. Hundreds of millions in political payoffs. In his suit, the plaintiff asked the court to stop payments to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association under the Beef Checkout Program, claiming the taxpayer-funded subsidy is in a violation of the Beef Research and Information Act of 1985. The law was intentionally passed in 1976 to allow the beef industry to compete better in the marketplace under the law. The Secretary of Agriculture has authority to run a beef promotion and research order, which is financed by charging beef ranchers $1 per head of cattle. The beef check-off generates about $80 million annually, according to reports. However, the act prohibits the use of beef checkoff funds for influencing governmental action or policy. The complaint states, Caltrate says, even though the beef association is largely a policy and lobbying organization, the organization has received some $200 million in the past 6 years from government agencies under the Department of Agriculture. He said an independent audit of the association found a number of examples where it used the money for lobbying. The audit I can't even say the word, sorry. A small portion of NCBA translations charged to the beef checkoff in FY 2008, FY 2009, and the first 5 months of FY 2010. Ended February 28th, 2010. The complaint says specifically the audit investigated over 45 expenditures and 25 employees. timesheet for 5 months. The suit continues according to NCBA's Form 990. NCBA had total expenses of $110,412,425 in 2008 and 2009, and of that, $72,833,595. Approximately 66% came from the beef checkoff. However, only a molecule 45 transactions that occurred during this period were audited by the independent auditor. If the average expenses evaluated, can't even say. I know what the word is. Evaluated, by the independent auditor was $1,000. The independent auditor examined approximately 45,000 of transactions. This tiny fraction, less than 1% of the NCBA's beef checkoff funds, relieved numerous expenditures that violated the act. Irreparable harm, the rancher advocate says the audit has only turned up claims. The report turned up what he described as the tip of the iceberg, and that is, as a result of it, NCBA agreed to return the checkoff fund over $216,000 to settle claims of unlawful expenditures. The suit claims that Coltrate and fellow small to medium-sized independent ranchers will be payably harmed in payments to the NCBA continue. The suit does not seek a temporary injunction, which would force the government to suspend its programs until the court rules. Rather, the suit will allow the government to continue operating in a business as usual mode until the court rules, which Coltrate hopes will then become a permanent injunction. According to his website, Coltrate of St. Francis, Kansas, is an independent cattle producer, feed yard owner, business entrepreneur, and political activist who addresses the rare social and cultural impacts of current economic trends. Jeez, I'm way behind. I have to try to catch up here. Again, from naturalnews.com, 3 simple and economical methods to clear away negative emotions and toxins daily. Detoxification need not be something to dread as an expensive, complicated, and exhausting ordeal. A few quick daily habits can fuse out physical and emotional toxins generally and easily. Air, water, and a brush are the magical trio that encourage a healthy body, sparking mind and balance emotions. Breathing usually is not something we think about since it comes so naturally, but a majority of people really don't breathe correctly, especially in our fast-paced world. The breathe tends to be consistent, shallow, and stressed. This style of breathing prevents use of much needed oxygen, contributing to brain fog and accumulation of toxins. But this problem is easily solved with a bit of awareness, intention, and a breathing technique called culpability. I can't even say it. Sorry. If you want to know what that word is, you can follow it at naturalnews.com and just click on the link that says 3 simple methods to clear away negative emotions and toxins daily. Sparking mind in sense created the first breathing habit to cultivate is awareness of the breath. But people only breathe from the upper portion of the lungs. But we really need to draw air in fully with the diaphragm. Take a few moments throughout the day to breathe deeply throughout the day. Take a moment throughout the day to breathe deeply. But taking in more oxygen tissues are effectively detoxified. The mind is clarified, and the nervous system is calmed, leading to positive emotional states. Next, the practice here are the instructions according to Per Inside Out. It sit in a confrontable position with spin upright. Breathe normally for about a minute. Once composed, you can begin. First, exercise the diaphragm by exhaling suddenly and quickly through both nostrils, producing a puffing sound. Don't focus on inhalation. It will be automatic and passive. This exercise should be done in 3 rounds each, consisting of 11 strokes for the beginner. And it continues on from there for hydrate, brush, and others. So you can continue on there. I'm still a little behind here. Continuing here. Are stress and high cholesterol depleting your vitamin D? According to a recent studies reported by the Body Ecology website, cholesterol, the flight or fight hormone, can disrupt your body's vitamin D3 uptake. If cholesterol is produced by chronic stress that can't be acted upon by running or fighting for your life. The cholesterol builds up in your body. This is the situation with many of us who try to suppress chronic low-level stress and carry on with what many consider normal life. Here's another factor according to the report. Normally, cholesterol production decreases from midnight to 4 a.m. Staying up past midnight creates an irregular cholesterol production pattern that may result in increased cholesterol in your body as it tries to compensate. That's not good news for us night owls. How does this happen? Vitamin D is a steroid hormone, and so is cholesterol. Hormones need receptors in the body to perform their magic. The receptors for vitamin D3 are called simply vitamin D receptors, VDR. So regardless of how much vitamin D3 you take in, if it can't find receptors, it just floats around in the blood with deceptively high D3 blood level counts. Cholesterol is also a hormone. It is a permanent member of the choroid class. I can't even read that, sorry. Of hormones which diminish FDR capabilities. Therefore, in addition to maintaining or increasing vitamin D3 intake, try to sleep regular hours and learn to stress less. Here's a vitamin D3 review to remind you of the benefits. Sources, recommended amounts, and benefits of vitamin D3. You won't get certified. Get D3, technically a hormone preceptor, not a vitamin from foods, sunlight, and supplement supplements. There we go. Supplements are the keys. The sun's UVB rays on exposed skin mix with cholesterol. Yes, cholesterol in your skin to start a series of metabolic biochemical changes that accumulate in your liver and kidneys to produce D3 for those VDR receptors. When you take natural animal or plant-based supplements, you bypass the sunlight exposure phase that creates the vitamin D3 preceptor, whatever. Instead, you get natural diverted preceptors that go directly into the liver and kidney for processing. Your liver and kidneys take over to produce the hormonal activities and functions needed for a variety of situations. Do not use a prescription drug, vitamin D, or buy it off a shelf unless you are obviously certain it's a natural-based D3, not D2. And it just... Sorry about that, I muted myself. And it just continues on from there, and you can follow that at naturalnews.com. Regret message from Ronnie Cummins. If you think you should have the same right to know what's in your food as customers in nearly 50 other countries, please help us pass this country's first GMO labeling law. Pro Petitions 37, the California Right to Know genetically engineered food act by signing this petition today. It goes to the signon.org. You might think, what's the point of signing another petition when GMO employees are in bed with the federal government? When politicians repeatedly reject the pleas of the 90% of customers who demand GMO labeling when GMO and Dow and DuPont and major food processors like Pepsi and Coca-Cola have already put up $25 million to defeat GMO labeling in California. The point is this: every news story we create that draws attention to this David versus Goliath fight helps fire up California voters by showing them that every sane, healthy-minded customer in the country stands in solidarity with them on this issue. And fired up voters are more likely to get out and vote. Please sign this petition today at signon.org. When we reach our goal of 200,000 signatures, we will hand deliver this petition to the White House and make sure we have national media on hand to tell our story. On the campaign trail in 2007, candidate Obama promised to supply the right to know what's in our food. President Obama, however, has since sided with Monsanto, not the voters. Who elected him? Not the 90% of people in this country who want GMO labeled. Mrs. Obama is famous for the White House Organic Garden, for speaking out against childhood obesity, and for help nutrition in school lunches. She's the president's closest confidant, so we're confidant. So we're calling on her to tell President Obama, keep your word, listen to the people, not the corporations, do the right thing. He won't, by the way. We may not be able to change the president's mind with this petition, but we promise we'll get his attention and hold him accountable in an election year. For what he promised us 4 years ago, Prop 37 is the best chance we have of defeating the corporate agri giants and of forcing food manufacturers to stop hiding potentially dangerous ingredients in our food without our knowledge. Please sign today, signon.org, and then forward this to everyone you know and ask them to sign too. Every action counts. Thank you. That sounded like this has been brought to you by signon.org. All right, stop it, Matt. And here we go. Baby boomers, how detoxifying toxins from your early years could save your life. Prescription drug abuse is currently on the rise among all age groups, but potentially among the aging baby boomer generating born between 1946 and 1964. Millions of people from this generation who are now in their 50s and 60s are beginning to suffer the health consequence of their party years, for which they are increasingly turning to drugs and other active subsidies and behaviors that in many cases are only making the problem worse. A 2011 report issued by the Substance Abuse and Medical Health Services Administration explains that between 2002 and 2010, a raking of prescription drug abuse among individuals aged 50 to 59 has more than doubled. And by 2020, the availability of treatment services to deal with this growing addiction epidemic will also have to double just to keep up with the discretion trend. During a recent episode of 89.3 KPCC's Air Talk, Dr. Wilson Clark, MD, director of the Center for Behavioral Health Statistics, there we go, explained to David Lesleras from the Los Angeles Times that more than half of adults aged 57 to 85 now rely on a combination of at least 5 or more prescription drugs just to make it through each day. And as most natural news readers know, many of these drugs potentiate even more health problems. And it continues. Well, actually, let me read one more paragraph here. So what can you do to personally avoid the pitfalls of chronic health problems and drug addiction? If you fall into the baby boomer age, accordingly, a category, there we go. Your best bet is to detoxify the toxins, poisons, and other chemicals that have built up in your system over time, and immediately adapt a healthy lifestyle pattern that involves detoxifying or a regular basis, eating healthy meals, and exercising consistently. And it continues on from there on naturalnews.com, where it says, cleanse the toxins of your past and start taking care of your body now. Do autistic children have starving brains? Mick Clandless position in her book, Children with Starving Brains, a medical treatment guide for autism spectrum disorder, is that ASD is a complex based on physical and biochemical disorders that have as a common endpoint the cognitive and emotional impairment that we generally associate with autism. In other words, aside from rare genetic cases such as an autism derived from fragile X, I can't even say that word, sorry. It has become evident that these are physically ill children who can be greatly helped medically, behaviorally, and by prepare, diagnose, and treatment of their underlying medical conditions. This is a viral. It's not viral. It's vital. Breakthrough in understanding, and one that many practitioners have had a hard time grasping. In the past, autism and other conditions in the autism spectrum were considered psychotronic or behavior disorders with other psychotronic or behavioral approaches. Damn it. Considered as appropriate treatments. Subsequently, since they are physically ill, affected children require an all-encompassing natural intervention to maximize their healing potential. Studies have shown that ACD children compared to controls with neutral typical children report a higher occurrence of the following nutritional levels: increased serum copper, magnesium. I can't even read all these. Sorry about that. You can read them at naturalnews.com, and it continues on from there. I can't even read today. It's probably because I woke up late today. Really tired. That's why you need your vitamins and minerals, Matt. You're right. Continuing here, more vaccine failures, lethal poultry virus strains caused by gen swapping vaccines. It's from Natural News again. Live attenuated viruses, LAVs, which are increasingly being injected into vaccines, injected into both humans and animals, are fully capable of combining with each other to form deadly new mutant strains. These are the distributing findings of a recent study published in the journal Science, which shades new light on the extreme dangers associated with modern vaccine technologies. Several years, researchers from the University of Melbourne, in Australia, set out to determine the source of two new virus strains that emerged in the Australian states of New South Wales and Victoria, which are responsible for killing thousands of commercial poultry birds. Never before had these potentially virulent virus strains been observed. There we go. Observed in factories. There we go. Factories foul. And officials had been unable to, upon their discovery, to figure out what their emergencies. The team eventually investigated further and discovered that two different vaccines used to treat ILT, a receptory infection that commonly factory farmed chickens had combined with one another to produce a super strain of the virus that is roughly 4 times more deadly than the original virus. The process of virus combination essentially spawned an unexpected mutation of the original virus into a far more deadly super virus, which was previously not believed to be possible. What we found was the field viruses were actually a mixture of the gruesome from different vaccine viruses. They actually combined, mixed together, said Joan Devlin, whatever, lead author of the study. Comparisons of the vaccine strain and the new combined strains have shown that both the combinant strains caused more serve disease or to a high level than the parent vaccine strain that gave rise to them. And it continues on from there. Obesity. Obesity occur cognitive decline and disease progression. As obesity rates continue to soar among all age groups in the United States and most other countries, the insensitive of chronic diseases spawned by excess abnormal fat follows on a parallel course. Medical scientists have repeatedly confirmed that risk for heart disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer, and dementia increases in direct relation to overweight and obesity measures. A widely accepted falsehood is that mental decline is a natural part of the aging process. Researchers now opposed that expanding waistlines are the primarily cause of mental deterioration among the middle-aged and senior populations. A study team from the French Research Institute in CERN in Paris has published the result of a study in the prestigious journal I can't even say that word, that demonstrates how it's neurologist. There we go. Neurologist. Neurology. There we go. Neurology that demonstrates how increased blood pressure and other metabolic factors resulting from exercise body weight causes middle-aged and older adults to experience a rapidly decline in cognitive skills like thinking and memory. And I'm kind of proving it right now because I'm not really middle aged. But anyway, small increase in markers, biomarkers such as blood pressure and blood goals, whatever, result in dramatically increased risk for many more bionic, whatever. I can't even fucking read today. What's wrong with me? Illnesses, especially I can't even read these diseases. To conduct their study, researchers. I'm sorry, I can't read today. I woke up late today, so I couldn't really read these articles. So what you hear is what you get. So if you don't like what I'm reading, then don't listen to this podcast. Sorry about that. I'll keep trying my best. Continuing here, to conduct their study, researchers analyzed data on 6,400 potential patients, 71% of whom were men with an average age 50. The study period began in 1991, defined as the start of the 10-year study time frame. At the outset, the study team gathered data on the metabolic status and body mass index, a well-known measure of overweight and obesity. At 3 defined points over the study period, the participants were administered tests to assess cognify skills such as memory, reasoning, and verbal velocity, whatever. And it continues on from there. I should just end this podcast, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep going. This is the last one anyway, so let's just end it with the last one. How much time do I have here? All right. Just do about 3 paragraphs. It's America's leading psychiatrist, psychotronics, whatever, convicts himself of, that's psychologist, there we go. It's not psychologist, but whatever. Convicts himself of crimes against humanity. The chemical cartel, one of a handful of evolving super cartels that strives for more power every day, is rife with so much fraud. It's astounding. In the psychotronic arena, for example, an open secret has been bleeding out into public consensus for the past 10 years. There are no definitive laboratory tests for any so-called mental disorder. And along with that, all so-called mental disorders are concluded, whatever, named, labeled, described, and categorized by a community of from menus of human behaviors. Their findings are published in periodically updated editions of the diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders, DSM, printed by the American I can't even say that. I know what that word is. I can't even say it. Psychiatric Association. And it continues on from there. And I'm going to end this podcast with that. I apologize for this podcast. It's not a very good podcast today. Should have woke up earlier so that I could read these articles. So you don't have to subscribe if you don't like this podcast, but if you like this podcast, you can subscribe up above this video, as well as you can also follow me on the links below, as well as also follow Close to Modern's song Stay. You can follow them on the links below. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me and tolerating me for today, and have a good day.